Welcome back, all my sylphs, all the wonderful air elementals out there. I'm Abe with MysticGenmara.com, a small town mystic from the middle of Idaho. And today I would like to offer your air elemental reading for the month of August 2025. These are general readings, so take what works for you, leave the rest for someone else. If you're interested in any of the decks or books that I'm using, they're linked in the description. There's also a link to a natal chart. If you've never had one done, they're a really fun way to get a different perspective on who you are as a person. It also gives you a fair amount of information, including your elemental alignment, if you're interested. So, air covers the zodiac signs of Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. With that, we will get started with our hexagram from the I-ching, and I cast the hexagram before we started. So, air, you have number 36, which is the darkening of the light or injury. So this doesn't sound super pleasant, but the I-ching always offers a couple of ways out. So your direct message is darkening of the light. Righteous persistence in the face of difficulty brings reward. And we've talked about righteous persistence off and on for a while now. And what it basically means is sticking to your code of honor, sticking to your morals and your ethics, walking with integrity and not being shady or sneaky about stuff, or, well, if I bend this rule here, that's not righteous persistence. Righteous persistence is being honest and upfront, working hard, putting in the effort, and actually doing the tasks. There's no shortcuts. I mean, there might be some easier ways to do stuff on that same path, but if you're cutting corners or you're, as some people believe with the manifestation stuff, if I just sit here quietly and focus on it, it'll just fall in my lap. No, it's inspired action that leads to that. So it's the righteous persistence in the face of adversity, meaning even when you're challenged, you're able to hold on to that. That's what's going to get you through whatever the challenge may be this month. So our foundational line down here on the bottom, it's on 2 pages. Failure in the light during his progress through the sky caused him to lower his wings. When busy with affairs, the superior man or woman may go without food for 3 days on end. So intent is he or she on reaching their goal, but his or her lord will have something to say about this. So this is saying there may be times, especially this month, where you're pushing forward, that righteous persistence, you've got to get this stuff done, where you may put aside luxuries. Now, a person can go 3 to 7 days without eating with minimal issues. So that's where they're saying it's not like it's going to harm you in the long term. It's a luxury in that moment because you have some goals to work on. And it doesn't have to be food. It could be instead of going out to dinner. It could be instead of going to the movies. It could be instead of fill in the blank luxury that you really don't need. It's just kind of nice to have. You might have to skimp on some of those, or say put a pause on them for the month of August. And that's what they're saying, is it's not a matter of, I have to give it up completely. No. Sometimes putting something off like that's a luxury, makes you enjoy it a little bit more, and that's what they're implying. If you have a goal and you're focused on it, then that's what you're going for. Those side things are distractions. So, let's move to your second place line. Though injured in the left thigh, he made use of a horse in relieving distress, good fortune. This is what they're talking about. Even if something comes up and you're like, oh no, now I can't complete that, another option will become available. In this particular instance, the person has been injured in the left thigh. You're not walking if your thigh is injured. It's just you're going to drag that thing along behind you and hope you make it on time. But in that instance, a horse suddenly appears out of nowhere. So no matter what happens, if you're sticking to the righteous persistence, things are going to help you out along the way. The universe is not going to let you falter. It might make you have to work a little bit for it, but it's not going to leave you out in the cold. Your third place line, wounded while on a military expedition in the south, he or she still managed to capture the rebel leader. Persistence amounting to the madness should be avoided. Obviously, you don't want to give up everything in the pursuit of your goal, but definitely keep that as the focus. Because when they say persistence amounting to the madness should be avoided, that's where you become almost obsessive compulsive about, must complete this task. If something slows you down, accept it, look around. Why are you being slowed down? There could be a cliff that you're missing and you're about to fall over the edge. So there's things like that are coming along. The universe is going to work with you, Air. You're all about learning and education and intellect and planning and analyzing, and this is playing into that really strongly for you. And it says, while wounded on a military expedition in the south, he still manages to capture the rebel leader. This is where you still will get success. You're still going to get the goal, but you might have to slow down a little bit. It might be a little bit more of a challenge due to some other things coming up for you. Just 1 second. Sorry. Day job stuff interrupting. With that, we'll hop over to our... But don't give up is the key phrase here, and stick to your goals, stick to your morals and your ethics. The righteous persistence is what's going to support you the most, and that's going to trigger the universe to do their part as well. So the 4th place line, it is as though he had penetrated someone's left side and perceived a darkened heart as clearly as if that heart had been abstracted or removed from its dwelling place. Air, this one's a little bit more rough, and not in like, oh, bad things happening rough. It's as though he had penetrated someone's left side and perceived a darkened heart as clearly as if it had been removed from its place. This is where you might have someone in your circle, or it could be just someone that you're associated with. All of a sudden, they get really hostile with you because you're sticking to your guns. You're overcoming obstacles that that person might have been tossing in your way on purpose. And that's going to drive them nuts. And that's when you start to realize, is this person really the best option? Is this person supposed to be in my life? And again, they're saying that it doesn't have to be an inner circle. This could be just someone you're associated with, like someone that you mentioned to when you're at your day job because you're starting your own business, or it could be that you're aiming for that promotion and this other person's like, oh, they think they're going to get it? Well, I'm going to do this. And it could be someone who's very pleasant to your face, but is trying to stab you in the back at the same time. So this is where you might actually come to a realization that somebody in your bubble is not being helpful. And that could be part of the challenge, is removing that person, or at least understanding that that person's doing it, and then you dodge the traps in the future. So our 5th place line, Prince Chi suffered injury, but his persistence among a righteous course was rewarded. No matter what happens, even if things get in your way, even if things get slowed down, stick to your morals, stick to your ethics. The righteous path is the one that's going to lead you to success. And I'm hearing very strongly, you will succeed in whatever it is you're working on, but it's going to be on your methods and your morals or ethics, because someone else's path is their path. That's not yours. So if you're trying to copy them, it's not going to work out for you. That's where you have to stick to your own plan. And our capstone here, nothing to lighten the darkness. Having once climbed to heaven, he later descends to earth. So this is where you're going to be successful. You're going to achieve that which you have been driving for. And once you have achieved it, you're going to realize that you're back where you began. Whether it's a promotion, oh look, I got the promotion, yay. Oh wait, now I'm in charge of this chaos that I've got to deal with. Or it could be that you started your own business and yay, I'm independent. Oh no, now I'm the one responsible for everything. So yes, you're going to achieve the goal of what you're looking for, but when you do that, it's going to remind you that you're still where you always were. It's only some things have shifted. So, and with that, the knowledge of this higher position giving you greater understanding comes into play. So yes, you come back down to earth. You come back down to wherever it was you were, but because of the journey, you are now carrying wisdom that allows you to deal with things a lot better. So, Air, this is going to be an interesting month for you. It's going to play into your strengths and challenge some of your weaknesses. Your strengths are your intellect, your ability to solve problems, and your observational skills. Those are going to be enhanced big time. Your challenge is trying to escape, trying to blame someone else. So those are going to be things to work on this month. So with that, we'll hop into the cards. There's approximately 4 weeks in August, so we'll go through 4 weeks of readings. Before we do that though, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, drop a like on the video, comment down below, let me know your thoughts, feelings, and impressions. And if you happen to see something in the cards that is different from what I'm saying, feel free to leave that in the comments as well if you're comfortable with that. It's always interesting to see what other people intuit from the cards because they do talk to us individually. So, with that, we will get started here. Each week we look at a guide or guardian, and then we look at a message from source, which is positive reassurance or some kind of coaching, and then we look at some clarifications and further details from the tarot. So, your first week's guide or guardian, which is perfect because it's your dragon. It is the air dragon, helping you rise above earthly matters. Communicate honestly, brings inspiration and hope, sees life from a higher perspective. So air, this is you stepping into your authority. This month is about you actually embracing the core principles of who you are. Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, you all have your different aspects of air. Some are cutting, some are intelligent, some are escape artists, but you are all aspects of air. And air is very much focused with the mind, with mental gymnastics and growth. And when I say mental gymnastics, I'm not saying that to be mean. You're able to look at things from multiple perspectives, which to the common person is like, how did you get that answer? But you know air because that's your skills. So this is really about you stepping into your authority. And in a lot of ways, the earthly things, like, oh, you have to do it this way to get that promotion, or I can go over here. And you're still get the promotion, but you're going to do it in a way that's not what everyone else has been doing. The earthly way, the earthly path, the non-righteous path, so to speak, is all about, well, this is what's comfortable and this is what everyone else is doing, and I don't want to look weird, so I'm going to keep doing this. But air, you have a higher calling. Your righteous persistence is saying you need to rise above that, which is actually what your energy does, is you're here to rise above. So that's the first dragon that's coming forward, and that's set up for the month in this first week. So your message from source is the Orion activation, supernova, recreation, renewal, rebirthed by the light. This is kind of saying this month is going to be fun. You're going to go through massive changes, supernovas. You're going to have some recreation. Don't get distracted, but don't be too overly focused. But also renewal. You're changing things this month. Air, it may show up in the most random, weird place, but you're going to be making some pretty big changes. But at the end of the month, there's this little word right down here if it'll focus. Rebirthed by the light. By the end of the month, things will have changed in your bubble where you're noticeably different. You're like, oh, that's what that was all about. Or, man, that was a little more complicated than I thought it was going to be. But it happens and it plays out the way it's supposed to. And that's the part about this month for air that is going to be a little bit interesting to see how it plays out for you guys, because it's really tapping into your strengths, but it is challenging every one of your shadow aspects. So the message from the tarot is number 21, the world, major arcana, big life lessons. This also applies to the whole month. A brilliant success, the freedom to go in any direction, a journey that is now complete. They're saying that this is a reminder as you go through this month that this is the goal. You are going to complete this project this month, and you might actually think that you're not going to, but the universe is saying if you don't, you're going to get so close that it's going to be an easy push over the edge to finish it. But you are in this energy where the completion is active, things are moving in the correct way, and now's the time to finish the last of it. Clear out what needs to be cleared out, heal the things that need to be healed, and step into this next version of yourself, which is actually an elevated version of the previous one. So you're growing, but not really, you're not changing everything. It's just a shift. So your second week's guide or guardian is the Golden Atlantean Dragon. Helps you remember the wisdom of Golden Atlantis, awaken, bring back the knowledge, gifts, and talents from your past, and reclaim your mastery. This is going to be where one of your challenges comes in, because you think you have to have learned it in this job or in this situation. This dragon is saying, and you're limiting yourself to the last 1 year, 5 years, whatever it's been in this situation, that's what you're limiting yourself to? Don't do that. Look to your everything. Go back to high school. Go back to grade school. If you are someone who is okay and comfortable with doing it, go back to your past lives. What have you learned that could be applicable here? What have you learned that could be an alternative path to what everyone else is doing? Because that's not going to be your path. You're going to do it your own way, air. And that's what the Golden Atlantean Dragon is saying, is there's another path. There's multiple paths to most goals. That's just the way it is. So the one that everyone else is doing, that big broad one that's all paved and smooth and you're just repulsed by it, there's another option. And that's what the Golden Atlantean Dragon is saying, is go back. Go remember back through this life. If you feel comfortable, go back into the past ones and see where the knowledge is that will help you in this situation. I mean, you can go back and poke around a little bit too if you want, but the goal is you're looking to move beyond where you're at in this life, so that's where your focus should be. Don't get distracted with those side quests. Your second week's message from Source is the Palladian activation, coming together, harmony within the heavens, and resolution. The second week, through the challenges, starting to look at things from those different perspectives and seeing alternative paths that are still aligned with your righteous persistence, that's where the Palladian activation's coming in. It's saying, yes, you do know how to do this. You've done it before, Air. You might not have done it the exact way you're doing it now, but you've done it before. This is where the plans are coming together. This is where in the first part of the month with the world, it's all going to happen. It's all already in place. Now it's just a matter of taking out the negatives, taking out the things that don't work anymore, and allowing it to click together. And this is where it challenges your focus and your awareness. Because you might have to let go of something like that person in the I-ching that's coming in throwing roadblocks, and you're like, I thought we were work buddies. What are you doing? This is where that awareness comes in, that person was actually out for their own ends to the destruction of yours. And that's where you have to be like, okay, this could be one of those things, testing your resolution, to let it go. And so you've got this a little bit of a challenge coming in, but the universe is saying you have the strength of will to do that. You have the strength of awareness to do that. And following the righteous persistence is actually going to aid you in achieving all of that. So your message from the tarot is the Six of Winter. Positive changes are on the way, a welcome relief from troubled times, and traveling or relocating. And this is just a gentle reminder, there's going to be some shifting going on. Positive changes, traveling, relocating, these are all aspects of what you're doing. Now, it could be a physical change, physical travel, because if you're changing into a different position, you might have to move. It might be something you've planned on already because the position you're looking for is another town or another state. And those are all things that are good. The Six of Winter is just saying everything that you've been working on is actually lining up. It's positive. It may not be as comfortable as you first thought, but that's because you didn't see all the steps. And now that you're in the process of all of this stuff moving around, you're starting to see, oh, I have to walk this path now. You've mapped it out, you're heading the right direction, but now you have to actually move on it. And that's where things can get a little interesting for you. So, your third week is the Fire Dragon. This is at least a supportive dragon to you. Burns up lower energies around you. You are safe and protected. Picture Archangel Michael. Be determined and inspired. Clear your soul's pathway. This is where you kind of have to, you become aware of the person throwing the roadblocks in the second week. This week is when things are going to start moving out of the way, because those challenges you've overcome, you've shown that you can actually deal with them in the healthy way, in the proper way. So this third week is where they start to shift. They get moved out of the way, they get exposed. They could be getting exposed directly to the people doing the hiring, because if they're causing chaos and they're interfering in what you're doing, and you're on the righteous path and they're being, let's call them issues. If they're being issues, then usually you'll see people like that get moved out. Now, not always, because we're all human, but it tends to be that way when someone starts making big problems with zero benefit and zero reasoning for what they're doing. They usually get shifted off to the side and taken out of a situation. So that's the kind of thing you have to hope and look for and focus on, is you do the right thing, don't worry about them, because they're going to destroy themselves on their own. So your message from the source is sacred inner space. Sacral chakra, tenderness, and sensuality. The sacral chakra is where you start to understand your connection with other people. This is where the intimacy and a lot of your more sexual tendencies tend to come from. The root chakra is all about your survival. The sacral chakra is about the survival of the species, or your partner and you, your household, your line. This is where that energy really starts to step forward. And they're saying that this is a time for you to remember why you're doing what you're doing. It's not just, well, I need that bigger paycheck. Why? Well, I need this promotion. Why? Everything that we do as humans has some sacred or intentional aspect to it. Our soul's guidance, our higher selves, God's source divine, has a lot of influence on us. We still have free will. We can make whatever interesting choices we want to make. But this card is saying, remember the why. Don't get too focused on like the obsessive compulsive thing. Must achieve goal, step on everybody in the process. That's not going to help you. Why are we achieving this goal? Why is this goal important to us? Why are we heading this direction? And generally, air, I know for a fact you already have the list somewhere because it's what you do. There's a list of the cons and the pros as to this mission. Go back to that. Are those things still the important reasons you're doing it? And if they are, great. If they're not, maybe reevaluation's a good call. So this is the energy that's coming up from source, is remember the why. Remember what it is you're doing, or what it is to put your foot on the path for this goal. That way you don't forget the reasoning when you get there. When you achieve it, you're like, yay, why did I do this again? So you want to make sure you're clear on that when you get there. Your message from the tarot is, man, you have some major arcana going on here. Number 1, the Magician. You can do anything. Take charge of your life. You can manifest what you need to be a success. I'm not a fan of this particular Magician card because Standard Magician has all 4 of the elements represented: earth, air, fire, water, cups, chalices, staves or wands, and swords. This one has a staff and an infinity symbol, so we're looking at that. But this card really means you have all the tools available to you. That's the purpose of the Magician, no matter what this is. You have all the skills, tools, and effects that you need. You also know how to use them all. That's what this past period of time, and they're saying it could be 1 month, 6 months, or even a year that you've been working towards this particular goal. You have all the skills and tools now, and you know how to use them. This is a reminder that now that you know how to use them, do it. Put them to action. And by doing that action, you will overcome the conflicts. Yes, you're going to achieve heaven, but it's just going to remind you that, oh, I'm still the one having to deal with the everyday stuff. There is a, I'm probably going to butcher this saying, but there's an old saying that before enlightenment, you do dishes and weed the garden, and after enlightenment, you do dishes and weed the garden. That's what they're saying here is, yes, you're going to achieve the goal, but you're going to find out that achieving the goal means you still have work to do. It's like the goal does not eliminate the work situation. It just makes you more aware and gives you more tools and skills to deal with it, which generally makes it easier, but you're still doing a similar position. So, but you're getting paid better, you're getting more influence, whatever it is. That was the purpose of the goal in the first place. And it also is a reminder that now you get to set a new goal. So your 4th week, final week here, is the Water Dragon. Again, a complementary energy. Helps you flow with ease around obstacles. Christ's light and love are flowing. Develop your psychic abilities, go with the flow. What we're hearing with this one is this is a time after this end of this month where your goal is going to just flow. You've overcome the things, you've done the challenges, you've dealt with the chaos, and now it's the universe's way of saying, now we're just going to move things forward. Just come along with us. We've got this. And as you flow into this next state, you start to realize or become aware of, I knew how to do this all along. The challenge was there to remind me that I knew how to do it. So by this final week, Air, you're stepping into your authority. You're stepping into the fullness of what it means to work with the air element. Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius, you are stepping into more of your authority within your own sign and within the element. So the water is saying, you've put in the work. let's just take the flow. Let's see where things go, because you've already achieved whatever it is by this point. They're saying if you haven't, you're going to be really close. And that's where you just kind of let go and let the universe guide you the last few steps. So let's take a peek at your message from source. And of course, now the cards decide they want to not talk to us. That's fun. Either that or they're going to bring up something really good. And we have Stargate Heart. Heart chakra opening, unlocking, generosity. Once you've achieved the things that you want, that's where the gratitude kicks in. That's opening the heart, where you're like, okay, thank you. Thank you, universe. Thank you, God, source divine. Thank you, angels. Thank you, guides and guardians. Thank you, spouse. Thank you, kids. Thank you, planet Gaia. Thank you, coworkers, for being the challenges that helped me achieve this point. Thank you for the people who supported me. The universe wants to remind you in this 4th week, when you achieve the goal or when you start to flow into the goal, this is where you activate the heart. You get into that generosity, you get into that gratitude state. And as you grow and as you expand, air, you're gaining knowledge and wisdom because you've had some interesting experiences. Because of that, you're also being called to be generous with your knowledge. Not foolish, generous. If someone is actually struggling and you can see that they're actually doing things and they're on their own righteous path, this is where you can offer some guidance or some assistance. Or if they come to you and be like, I know this is possible, why am I struggling with this? This is where you can actually step forward and give them some, guidance a little bit. Again, that does not mean that you're giving it to someone who's foolish, who's just going to squander that information. So that's where your judicial aspect comes in, where you have to be a little more cautious. That's where you've achieved heaven and now you're back to earth. Because once you complete your goal, you still have things to do. So that's what they're saying. But you're doing so from a compassionate state. You're doing so from the heart. You've shown gratitude for achieving the things that you've achieved, and your way of passing that forward is to be generous with the information that you have gained. So, your last week's message from the tarot is the Queen of Autumn. Generous, stylish, gracious, and practical. Be practical with respect to how you proceed, the ability to make anything more beautiful, meeting someone who can help your dreams come true. I generally see this particular card tying into Earth, so air, this could be a little bit of a challenge for you. But it says be practical with respect and how to proceed. This is what I was talking about with the Stargate is be generous with your information, but don't throw it to people who are going to squander it. Don't give it to someone foolish. If you see that there are 25 steps behind where they need to be just to start where you're heading where you're at, why would you give them advanced knowledge where they're not going to be able to accept it or understand it? And that's where the generous, stylish, gracious, practical, air, you're very logical. And that's what's being called to the front once you've achieved things. Once you have ascended to heaven and returned to earth, is you have created and developed and done the thing. Now you're back to working like you always did, and you're being called to share the information in a way that is appropriate for the people who are asking. Like you wouldn't tell somebody who is trying to figure out, 3rd grade math, you wouldn't try to explain quantum physics to them. That's just irresponsible. And you wouldn't try to tell a pianist how to paint. That's what they're saying is your information is very well earned. You've gained it, you understand it, therefore you actually have control over what you give out. Make sure it's appropriate to the right person when that time comes. So with that, I will let you guys and gals go. If you have any questions, thoughts, suggestions, please drop them in the comments down below. And with that, I will let you guys go. Have a great month of August. There's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but I have a full confidence that you're going to be able to overcome it, and you're going to come out on the other side shining gracefully like the beautiful self energy that you carry. So have a great one.